Glossary number 8, the organization structure on version 8. I first want to confirm, can everybody hear me well?
Yes.
Yes. All right, great stuff. Then I'm going to start. So we're speaking about the organization structure today. The organization structure is the same as in version 9, is a central building block of our HR system architecture. So on the agenda, I will give an overview of the organization structure. We'll speak about org nodes, org node types, the org flat structure, the org filter, and how to use it and how it works. And we'll also lastly speak about org type subgroups. We have covered org type subgroups in one of the previous sessions, but we'll quickly touch on it again. And then we'll go to questions. So quickly, an overview. The organization structure is a hierarchical structure. So that means you have a top node, the company, and you have nodes reporting to the top node. As we've seen some clients do, you can have multiple top nodes. All right, so the top node you'll see here is organization structure. Sorry, that is the top node. Below that, on the first level of the org structure, you can have multiple nodes. So in this case, on the business unit side. So as you see, there's a business unit top, entity reports to business unit, then the division reports to entity, region department reports to division, and sub-region reports to region. CASA or team level 2 reports to the sub-region. The position is linked directly to the organization structure. And as we've said yesterday, or in the previous session, you can only link primary positions. The positions that are linked to the organization structure represents primary positions. So those are the positions the employees are appointed in. And they are marked primary on the appointment history table. The organization structure is also used is very handy for filtering reports that employee data shows on. Right, org nodes. So let's quickly have a look at the table. So the table for the organization nodes is the org nodes table. It's not a date-driven table. It was once a date-driven table, and that table is called org unit. We'll just say something quick about org unit later on. It has a lot of columns. Most importantly, the org node ID is the parent of the specific org node. Org unit type ID is the type or the hierarchy level name or item type of the org node, whether it be company, business unit, department, whatever that may be. And then there's a lot of properties also linked to an org unit. In a geographical sense, in a company, an org unit can also represent geographical location, the headquarters of that org node. But as we know in today's day and time, somebody sitting in South Africa can link to an org node that is geographically located in South America. Right, just quickly, not something that is widely known, but there are custom fields that can be configured for an org node as well. That work more or less the same as the custom fields that link to an employee. Okay, so those are custom fields that a client configures that they can populate per org node. All right. It stores the relationships with other org nodes. The parent org node has an org node ID of 0. You'll see the first item here has an org node ID of 0. That is the topmost node. You have the unit code field. The unit code field is important as it represents the unique identifier, also in an employee import. So those of you who've worked with the employee import, job profiles, positions, and org nodes all have a field, an optional field in the import for the code for that job profile, position, or org node. The client can either specify it. If they don't, we generate unique codes for those fields. All right, so in the import, the code is used. If I can use an example, if we get a unit code 1234 in an employee import, we use that unit code to update the reference description of the org node. We can also use it to update the org unit type. So that is a unique identifier. I think Asmang shares the unique codes with us from their side, but there are clients who don't have unit codes, and then we generate the code for them and in the system to be unique. I've shown the table org nodes. Let me quickly show the view org unit. So the strategy that we used when we replaced the date-driven table org unit with the date-driven table org nodes is we created a view called org unit for reporting. So if you check the definition of org unit, you'll see it actually only selects from org nodes. And then the date-driven fields and the object ID, it hard code. So the ID in org nodes becomes the object ID in org unit. All right, are there any questions on org nodes? Okay, great, let's carry on. Org node types. So the table used for the org node types is org unit type. What it does, its main purpose is to store the different levels in the hierarchy and their sort order for the organization structure. I'll quickly show that. Let's do it for schema ID 1. And let's only show the active records. So you'll see it has a name. I'm going to keep that table open. And it also has a hierarchy order. So this is the order. Let me just sort this. That the org units display on in the org flat structure, or this is the different levels in the hierarchy. You'll see below CASA team level 2 that we've seen under adapt IT, the org that I've shown, there's still org level 6, 7, and 8. All right, so the org unit type relationships stores the relationships between these org unit types. So it will, for instance, now store the relationship to say a business unit can link to a company, when an entity can link to a business unit and not the other way around. Let me show the data. I said basically this has a parent and a child org unit type. As I've said, the org unit type relationship stores the relationships between the org node types. The parent org node has an org ID of 0. I think that was already said in the previous slide. Yeah, sorry, that just repeats from the previous slide. Sorry about that. So if you think about it, the relationship is stored twice, but it's stored twice for a reason. So the first indirect way the relationships are stored is the hierarchy order. And I'll explain that when I speak about the org flat structure, but the direct relationship is stored in org unit type relationships. Right, any questions on the org node types? Or does it make sense? Harvey, you happy?
Yes, Theuns, I'm happy.
Okay. Yeah, let's continue. So the org flat structure. The org flat structure table representing the flattened view of the organization structure. The best way to demonstrate that, I think we've all seen the org flat structure in this call, but I'll just show it again. I just want to show something in a different tab. So you have company, business unit, entity, division. If you look at the org flat structure, you have business unit, entity, division, region, department, sub-region, team level 1, CASA team level 2, and all of the org node types are different columns inside the org flat structure. So the org flat structure is created dynamically based on the names of the org node types. If you remember from one of the previous sessions, there is a setting on the organization structure module that says from which table the metadata, if we can call it a metadata, for the org factory is obtained from which schema. So that schema's org unit types and hierarchy order is then used to create this table. So each level is in a different column. It's limited to 10 organization levels. Okay, so no client we have has used more than 10 levels, 10 organization levels. It's handy for reporting. I've also showed the table. But any questions on the org flat structure? Okay, great. Let's carry on. I think today's session does not have such a lot of meat in it. There is a section on the org unit, on the organization structure filter. I'm going to show that's maybe gonna be the part that has the most meat on it. And that's the next section. So the next section is the org filter and how to use it and how it works. So it's a filter to drill down on the organization structure. It only filters, only the levels filtered on is displayed on the report. So the performance agreement report is an example of a report that uses the org filter. I'm going to show the report. So the performance agreement report at small n is called the scorecard status report. Okay, so on Smollen's report, I have a business unit filter additional to the org unit filter. But this is the org unit filter. It starts at company name. So if we start and filter on South Africa, you'll see that the next level, the business unit displays automatically or gets filtered. So all the business units below Small and South Africa is displayed now. Okay, if I filter on Small and Field Services, org level 2 is displayed, National 4, Red Bull 5. And from this level onwards, it's not applicable. Right, so that is visually how the org filter works. If I now go and select a different company name, it's going to clear everything and filter the business units again. All right, and so on. So that's how it works from the front end. How does it work in the back end? So the different steps is there is a user control in the system that has to be registered on your report. So you register that on top of your report. Okay. Who on this call hasn't worked with user controls?
I haven't worked with them yet, Theuns.
Okay, so you'll see on some of the pages, Harvey, look out for them on top of the page. This is how you include a user control to be used on a web page, on a web forms page. Okay, so you register it on top of your report, then you reference it inside of the report. So still in the markup, you reference it by the tag prefix. You'll see the tag prefix and tag name is the same here. That's why these two are the same. Okay. You read the values. So on the code behind, you read the user control selected org ID value. There's also a selected org name and a selected org type value that can be used or displayed if necessary. But this is how you get the org ID. And the selected org ID, just to confirm in this case, will be, let's say I select Diageo and Diageo. It will be org level, the 5th level in the hierarchy, called org level 4, 1, 2, 3, NI Diageo. That will be the selected org ID. So it's the lowest selected level in the org filter. But then you send the org ID through to the procedure. It's a parameter. Then you get the employees in the org structure and the structure below the org node that you've selected. So the same way you filter subgroup employees, there's a procedure called confirm get active org employees. If you send it the org ID, it will return all employees in that org and orgs below that org. Then you join, and this is just an example of PRS employees on the employee ID. Sorry, that's not PRS employees because then it will be ec.id. Okay, but that is basically the gist of how you use the org filter. All right, any questions on the org filter? Okay. Pretty handy. Org type subgroups. So in the subgroups table, the type is org. I'll just do a quick select here from the subgroups table just to show org type subgroups. If you remember correctly, the different levels of the org, the different org node types, you'll see their names just for ease of use is stored in a subgroup category. Then you have the FK org ID, which is the organization structure ID. It's actually the org ID, so that's straightforward. And then you have your where statement. Let me just quickly show the where statement. So you'll alias the table that you're selecting from as A, and then it selects the employee numbers from PRS employee org view, where the business unit is equal to A&D Stores Pty Limited. And that business unit column comes from the org flat structure. So the PRS employee org view selects from the org flat structure. The view, okay, so here's the org flat structure. So just select os.all, which then returns all the dynamic columns in the org flat structure. Okay, just to confirm, returns all employees in the organization node and in organization nodes reporting to the current org node. Right, and I've shown the table. And that is it for this session on the organization structure. Are there any questions? Okay, I just quickly want to show something on the organization structure. I'm not going to click the button, but just for those who haven't seen it yet, on the organization structure, there is a button called refresh organization structure. If I click that, it refreshes org flat structure. Then select view chart. There is a control that we've implemented many moons ago to display the org chart. I just quickly want to show you how it looks, how it displays the org chart. I think Smalland just has many nodes. That's why it's taking a little bit longer to view the chart. And also, I don't think this page is opened much. Right, just waiting for that. I also want to show current organization tree. Okay, here it is. So what you can do, it shows the first two levels of the organization structure. So it shows Smalland South Africa, if you remember, all the first level items. Let me use Smalland South Africa and use Smalland and Associates. Right, click on the down button. It actually then opens up the structure below Smalland and Associates. So in this way, you can actually also drill down on the organization structure. Just going to wait for that to load. Right, we'll see on the chart, it says how many employees are appointed inside, how many candidates are they appointed in that organization structure, how many vacancies and how many seats have been filled. Okay, small and obviously has a lot of vacancies because they don't reuse their positions. And this is also, is this correct? 175. Of the active employees, how many are male and how many are female? Okay, that's quite interesting. So most companies do not appoint employees in intermediate structures, but only at the bottommost org structure. We have companies using our product that, and I think it should be best practice to appoint a person within one of the upper structures. All right, so to be the chief position of that structure. I click on print organization structure. Also haven't clicked on this button before the session. But there's an else here. Refresh view chart. So refresh view refreshes the page. And while we're waiting for the page to load, you'll see in the org nodes table, there is, so just a comment on the legacy, on the previous users of this table, there is an org plans ID. So there is a plan for every schema. All right, so previously the org unit table did have a status as well. So there were two statuses. The one was the active structure and status 2 was the planning structure. So originally the org structure tool was used to build a structure that would become active at a certain point in time called the planning structure. So once, let's say you plan an org structure change to be valid from the 1st of January, once the 1st of January arrives, that structure becomes the active structure. So in time, we've realized that clients do not necessarily plan in that way, but they make org changes as they go. So it was a handy feature, but it was never really used. So we removed that field. I think it was the org unit status field. Let's quickly see here. So here you have the organization structure. And you can save it as PDF. So that function basically opens the org structure, expands all of the nodes and clicks on Control P, or does window.print in JavaScript. So you can save it to PDF or waste some paper or kill a tree. Okay. Right. Any other questions before we go? Right, great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Theuns.
Thanks, Jens. Thanks, Jens.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.